What's up, everybody? Welcome to Underground Crypto. Sorry it took me a little extra second. I feel like Saturdays I'm always running a minute behind here, but we are here, not letting you down. We're still here. So what's up, everybody? Welcome to Underground Crypto. Interesting show for you guys tonight. We are wrapping up the series of this week. Let's get this where we want it. I guess that's good. What's up? Who's all here with me? Smash that like button. Drop something in the chat. Let me know that you're here. And check out this 4-hour chart. We've been watching this 4-hour chart at the beginning of every show for now a couple of weeks, right? Of course, couldn't help but ignore this very shoulder, head, and shoulder. But I also speculated that, you know, unless we lost the 200-day moving average, which is this red line, that there's a good chance that we don't fulfill this shoulder, head, and shoulder, right? Now we're just watching. Of course, you could. And then this could be the shoulder, head, and shoulder, right? So we're watching vigilant. Are we at the bottom of the bear market? Was this price action here your bottom? Could be. Other people speculate that in October 5th-ish, you know, we should be down about 40K. That might happen. It might not. But I take it day by day, step by step, right? So here's your measured move, right? Measured move there. If you do get that drawdown, make it all perfect. There you go. It would take you to something like 59,200, 59,100 between there, right? So that is what I am mostly looking at right now. What are you guys thinking about? What are you looking at? Tell me in the chat. Yes, Minecraft, we will play Kindra later tonight for sure, but it's going to be quite some time before that happens. So tonight, of course, our series was Who Writes Crypto's Rules? And all week we've examined developers, regulators, courts, DAOs, governments, and different systems all competing for control. Hopefully I'm going to be able to speak tonight, right? Tonight we reached a conflict underneath the entire series. So this is going to be a good final episode, I think. What happens when the code and the law produce a different answer, when they're in contrary to each other? A blockchain might confirm that a transaction is technically valid. Every signature is matched, every programmed condition was satisfied, the validator accepted it, and the transaction became final on the blockchain. But that does not answer whether the private key was stolen, whether a market was manipulated, or whether someone was deceived, or whether the asset legally belonged to the person who moved them. Think about Bonk and what happened to the Bonk DAO recently. Somebody spent about $4 million to buy some Bonk, go to the DAO, a decentralized autonomous organization, right, the governance arm of a program, and they proposed something, and their proposal was, give us $20 million worth of Bonk to this address, and we fire the entire leadership of the DAO and we put ourselves in place. As I was saying the other night, it's the classic Somali pirate meme, you know, like we are the captains now. And because they understood how the DAO worked and they had enough Bonk governance ability, right, they passed their own proposal. And it seems like there was probably crickets over there and people were probably not paying any attention. So this is a good example of something most people would consider to be very fraudulent happening, but technically they didn't do anything wrong. They bought Bonk, they had a stake in the governance and in the ability to say, right, what was going on, and voting right. Basically they had voting power, right, much like a stock would have, and they outvoted everybody. I don't even know if anybody really voted at majority besides them. So think about that. And so they didn't technically do anything wrong, but it's very obvious that what they did was fraudulent. They gave themselves $20 million. And I can't understand why they didn't give themselves $300 million, because there was about $320 million in Bonk's market cap at the time. They could have just took all the money. Code determines what the system will execute, right? So even though it might be perfect on chain, you know, it might not be legal in real life. If somebody stole something and they move money to their own wallet, that's illegal, that's fraud, that's theft, right? Code determines what the system will execute. Law determines which rights and obligations society will recognize. Sometimes those two systems support one another. Sometimes they collide. Tonight we're going to break down code is law, ? What smart contracts actually enforce and what they cannot judge, right? They're just a piece of programmable code. They can't necessarily judge who's the rightful owner of an asset. And why immutable software does not automatically eliminate the courts, regulators, or human responsibility. And of course, quote of the day: the life of the law has not been logic, it has been experience. And apparently this Oliver Weldon Holmes. Maybe I should know who that is, but I don't. So code requires exact logic. Law must interpret human behavior, intention, fairness, harm, and circumstances that cannot always be reduced to a simple true or false command. And what you may not know is a smart contract is not automatically a legal enforceable contract, right? Smart contract might be law, quote unquote, code is law, on a blockchain, but it's not law in the country, right? So the Uniform Law Commission specifically warns against assuming that every blockchain-based smart contract is by default a legal contract, because it is not. Code can be incorporated into a legal agreement without being the entire agreement, right? A wallet signature proves that the correct private key authorized a blockchain transaction. It does not independently prove that a human owner understood the transaction, was not deceived, or still controls the keys. And in a classic case here, Van Loon versus the Treasury, the Fifth Circuit Court held that Tornado Cash's immutable pool contracts were not sanctionable property under the specific statute involved because no party could own, alter, delete, or control them. This was a narrow interpretation of the Treasury's authority, not a ruling that immutable code is generally above the law. It was a specific situation. And Treasury removed Tornado's Cash from the sanction list in March 2025. A lot of people probably don't know that, citing the novel legal and policy issues raised by evolving technology. Things change and we got to rehash them out, and government and especially law and courtrooms move very slow, but they move slow intentionally because the idea is that they're going to get the right verdict because they took the time. Separately, a jury convicted, right? So separate from what I just said about Tornado Cash, a jury did convict Tornado Cash co-founder Roman Storm in August 2025, conspiring to operate an unlicensed money transmitting business. The persecution focused on his conduct, knowledge, continued operation of the service, and profits, not merely the existence of immutable code. So what we're trying to show here is the whole series of the week. Although, the Treasury and what they wanted to do and the legal law for the different arms of the government, right? The different, I don't know why the word's not coming to me. This happens sometimes to everybody. Agencies, there you go. They have different rules and they have different authorities and they're reigning over different things, right? It's the checks and balances, or is supposed to be. And so although they found that, the pool for Tornado Cash was not a sanctionable property, right? So that you would think that was a positive, but it's a totally different story for the co-founder, Roman Storm, because he was the one who started it all, right? He is sitting in a different place than maybe the people who use this product. And he was, persecuted for unlicensed money transmitting business. That contrast is extremely important. A court can limit government authority over autonomous code, while another court still examines the conduct of people operating the service around that code. And that's the point that we really wanted to drive home here, is that there is some nuance to all of this, right? It's not just like, oh, crypto's good, crypto's bad, right? And that's what I set off to try to kind of get across to everybody as I launched this series on Monday, is that it's not one way or the other. Hopefully you've been following along all week, right? Yeah, I guess everybody went drinking tonight. It doesn't say there's 2 people on the stream for me. But hey, I've said it many, many times. number one, bottom of the bear market vibes. Number two, I'm going to keep working on my craft on YouTube and educating myself. So I could be here by myself. I'm still going to do the show. And also it's watchable by people after I'm done going live. So who knows who will enjoy that. And of course, you're going to have one-off nights. Just like we have nights where there's a bunch of people here. We had one recently. There was like 25, 30 people here. Also, education is not popular amongst people who don't understand the power of self-education. So if you're watching this stream, pat yourself on the back. If you love crypto, you are in the right place to raise your crypto IQ, as we always say. So let's toggle that 1 through 1,000. It is Saturday night, and you got to remember, in the U.S., New York time, where I'm at, it's like 10:30 at night, right? So I'm not completely shocked that some people might be busy or passed out or whatever. Some people still have to work on Sunday, right? So 1 through 1,000, not a whole lot of change. Biggest percentage move, right, up or down, is this 3 to 400, 1.4, probably one token. Again, seems kind of like we're holding up, but relatively flat. And that's across the board. Don't be confused. There will be certain things that pumped, and there will be certain things that dumped by probably 10 to 20%. Hash has been doing well. This province blockchain, it's been having a really good back and forth here. I guess it's been volatile. I don't know that it's done super well, but it's been volatile, right? I don't know a lot about this project. Probably something worth looking at. 18% to the upside. Ondo down 9%, so there's your contrast. ADI, an interesting project. VVV, a project I'm watching in this bear market. I'd love to get it around $8 if we could. Don't think it can't happen. If I stay patient, it might just happen. Anyways, let's drop down another 100 as it is Saturday night. We want to move through things relatively quickly. Melissa says I can't reach my back. Well, that I don't know that I can help you with over the internet. This XEC eCash. So eCash is an interesting project. We've been keeping an eye on it for sure. We did a little bit of a deep dive on it just to see what it was. It is a much older product. I don't know why it's so relevant, but somebody pointed out that it very much pumped with Ondo. Let's see, was Ondo up or down today? We got to go back to the 1 through 100. Ondo was down. So the person was kind of asking if there's a correlation. I don't really think that there is. Ondo's down 10% and it's up almost 20. So I wouldn't call that a correlation. Just because in a day, we used to do this with the stock market and stuff with crypto. It's just they would pump together and everybody be they're correlated. And they try to make bets and trades off of it. And then a week later, they'd be very uncorrelated. One be pumping, one be down, and vice versa. So it's just I don't really think that there's a lot of correlation sometimes where people think that there is. Just a time period where things are moving correlated, if that makes sense. Jasmine up 6.5%. It's got a long way to go to get me back to break even. Alora, Tag, BTW, and I'm very transparent here on this channel. I've had some really good buys for sure. I like to hold long term, but Jasmine is probably my worst one by far. And I definitely feel like it was an understandable mistake. I thought we were at the end of 2024 and we were pumping and we were going to go into the bull run the next year. And they really crushed our dreams with those altcoins. So Build On is back up 50%. Build On, a very interesting project. You're always working with the information you have, and you got to pivot when the information changes. But when you were working with different information, if you make a move and it doesn't work out, don't beat yourself up forever. You did the best that you could. Educate. Raise that crypto IQ, and maybe you'll be a better speculator in the future. That is the hope. That is the dream here. Billions Network, 22% to the upside. Cash Cat up 12%. What is Cash Cat? I'm looking at its market cap, right? 56 million. So it's lost a lot. I mean, at one point, here, I'll show it. It was 200. I don't think that was during this week. Here you go. I mean, it was 22 cents and now it is 5 cents. High 5 cents, almost 6. So anyways, if you could see this in market cap, which they don't necessarily let you do on the bubbles, but we could do that on CoinGecko. It was up around 200 mil and now it's 56. DGB or Digibyte has been getting some positive price action here lately. And it's been trending. I'm not sure why necessarily. I'm not sure what's going on. It's very old protocol, right? Probably 12, 13 years old. 7% Percent to the upside for Magma Finance is a financial, product, digital product company team. All right, we are back. This happens from time to time. I can't completely say I know why. I literally just restarted everything before we went live. All right, we should be unfrozen. I don't know where exactly I lost you, but we were just kicking off here. Of course, we were doing well. A bunch of people came through, and then something ridiculous always has to happen for seemingly no reason. Waiting for it to catch up here. There we go. Okay. Just making sure it actually worked all the way through to you guys. That sucks. Yeah, you're fine. We were just getting some flow going. We had like 13, 14 people here, and then it's got to just random. Anything that can go wrong will go wrong. Murphy's Law, right? It's just very frustrating. Finally, we're getting some traction. Touch the microphone the wrong way. The wind blows the wrong way. And then all of a sudden, microphones don't work. Cameras quit mid-sentence. It's very frustrating. 2.2 trillion in market cap. But we're going to move right along. We're just kicking off the stream anyways. Let's see. Bitcoin, $64,784. Ethereum, $1,866. I really wanted to buy some Ethereum around like $1,500 if we can get there. So if there's another leg to the bottom of this bear market where everybody's freaking out, I'm going to cop me another Ethereum, hopefully. That's the dream. BNB, $571. XRP, $1.10. Notice most things on the 7-day. Bitcoin and Ethereum are up, right? But a lot of things very flat. They're rather giving back a pump. Have some doing well here. We'll get to those in a second. Dogecoin, 7 cents. Look at Hyperliquid. Number 10. Is it always been number 10 by market cap? I guess it has. It's always like right under white Bitcoin, which is an exchange coin, by the way. Apparently, this exchange is better than all the other exchanges because it does phenomenal. 6.5 billion in market cap in their coin. That's crazy. And I feel like it kind of came out of nowhere. The coin itself, anyway. Zcash, $558. Up 10% pretty much, 9.7. XLM, 18, almost 19 cents. For this price rundown for me, it's kind of like a check-in before we get into everything else. XMR, $337. Cardano, high 16 cents. Canton Network, 12 cents. So we're doing all right here. If we can hold this, we could really start to get some upward movement. Bitcoin Cash have been pumping here the last couple of weeks, or last week at least. I do check all this stuff every day. So for me, time can be distorted. Like, I can see something going on. I think it's been going on for weeks, and it's been like a week. $219, down 10%. Toncoin or Gram, $1.47. DXY, again, I feel like it's going to make some moves like Hyperliquid did. I don't know why I just get that vibe, but sometimes you just got to trust your intuition a little bit, even though I don't own any, to be transparent. USDG, that is Robinhood's dollar. Just like RLUSD is Ripple's dollar, and USDC is Circle's dollar, and USDT is Tether's dollar, right? They're issuers. SWE, 74 cents. And that's as far as probably going to go, except for I want to see what MemeCore is doing, $1.24. Never really recovered from that hardcore pullback that we never really got a reason for. Let's go take a look at what is trending across the market today. Pudgy Penguins, ADI, Aikido, Cash Cat, Bitcoin Hyperliquid Lab, Aerodrome, love that, Ethereum, Pi Network, Solana, SWE, Ondo, Black Bull, and Finis Token. So I noticed that, first of all, ADI is an interesting project. We've been over it a couple of times, but its price is falling a little bit today. And then I noticed that Aikido keeps trending, and its price is doing really well. It's up like 1,000% on what? The 3-month? Yeah, well, no. On the month, it's up like 1,000% somewhere. 7-day maybe? Yeah, there we go. It's up almost like 1,000% in the last 7 days. And it's a gaming. It kind of can make a game too. Let's go take a look at it real quick. So they give you like a free credit if you connect a wallet, right? And you can just basically kind of give it an idea of a game and it'll make it, which is pretty cool. I don't know about hosting. Like, I don't know if you make one, how exactly people get to play it. I don't know about that kind of stuff. What I will say is that a lot of these had tags like people won money, like 200 USDT had been earned so far in this, and 300,000 AKE, the native token of Aikido, has been earned in this. Very interesting, but the actual value earned, I think, is going to bring people in. It says 1.1 million. I don't know exactly how that works. 1,000 Doge had been earned on this game. So very interesting. I'd like to play some of these games. When I think we found this very early before they actually launched anything. And you didn't earn money or anything, but I could actually click on like a game and I could actually play the game, right? And now it doesn't seem to work like that. So here, I'm going to connect my wallet. Real Web 3. If you're just rolling in, smash that like button. Let's see, let's hit this. But see, to play, you hit play, and then it gives you insufficient AKE points. So we probably need to go. I just been really wanting to figure this out. So it's a Binance Smart Chain contract. Okay. I don't think I have any money on BNB, Binance Smart Chain right now. Not significant money. So I'll have to figure that out and move it around. Every time I go to use Binance Smart Chain, it's like they change the on and off ramps. I'm hoping it's better than it used to be. And this has already changed on me. What's trending changes fast, guys. Let's go look at that Fear and Greed Index. And let's get back to the home page. 28. So we really are starting to get a little bit of a lift off here. We're staying out of that extreme fear. We just have that regular everyday fear. 25 was yesterday. Forever clicking on the ads, trying to get rid of them here. Blessed to have so many ads to click on over on Crypto Rank every 5 seconds. What a blessing. Yesterday 25 and today 28. So let's see if we can keep some steady upward movement on the Fear and Greed Index. I like to keep the number in the back of my mind, as I always say, but also I'd like to see it just hold up. Even if it just held like in this normal fear region for, I don't know, a week or so, that might get some confidence in the market. To make this trending coins over on CoinGecko. Crypto Rank. We just came from CoinGecko. Crypto Rank I like because it's very geared towards investors and things like that. And so there's a lot of information in here about venture capital, seed rounds, funding rounds, new projects. So we're kind of watching things roll out before they actually roll out. And this is what's trending. And I believe what's trending is calculated basically by what is being searched on CryptoRank. So if you have a lot of people who are specifically looking for investing information and stuff like that, market information, if you will, then what they're searching is going to be highly relevant. Jasmy in there at number 2. Why is Jasmy all of a sudden getting a bunch of attention? I'd sure like to know. Prime Minister says, yo, just checking in, gonna listen in the background, tired from yesterday. I feel you, man. We were in those trenches till like 6 in the morning. Hey, Melissa, how's it going? Says the Prime Minister. Welcome in, welcome in. Don't forget to smash that like button. The easiest, freest thing you could possibly do to show your support. So I don't know why Jasmy's getting a little bit of traction here. Jasmy, again, is a 5.4-year-old project. Jasmy's very specifically in the Japanese market, although they're a global crypto. But, I mean, if you go to their website, it's in, Japanese. My point being that it moves a little bit different because it's not necessarily an American-focused project, right? Hopefully you get my point there. So we have this Tri-Asia, or Tra-Asia. I feel like they already changed the name on us. No, I guess they didn't. TR Asia. Again, with the Asia in it, is an Asian-focused perpetual trading platform built on Hyperliquid. They've raised $1.7 million, which is not a lot of money in this realm at all, but it's money you could hire a developer, a couple of them anyway. I think developers could be rather expensive. Prime Minister says, I know, right? Yeah, we were in those trenches. I still got them up. Let's see. So, yeah, it's a perpetual trading platform. We don't need to spend a lot of time. It uses Hyperliquid. Unless you're in the Asian market, probably don't even care about it, and you probably already have a perpetual trading platform. Anyways, Aikido Games, which we were starting to look at. And as you know, Saturday stream is wrapping up the educational points of the week and kind of mixed with DeFi Friday. So we'll have some hangout. We'll have some DeFi gaming at the end. So we have Alpaca. Let's see. Alpaca is interesting. It even came up in our news that we were doing, our daily news. And the news says they had raised like 123 million, but this says they've raised 723 million, which is a lot more millions. And I think highly relevant. Alpaca is an API-first brokerage platform, tokenized stocks for AI trading agents. So it seems like they're kind of the connector between TradFi and DeFi. And they are the brokerage because in TradFi, it's heavily regulated. Hopefully you've learned that at some point during the educational topics here this week. And they're really acting as that brokerage firm. Now, they've raised a bunch of money. So that tells me that they're serious, they have good players, and that, the market or the investors, they very much believe that they have the ability to pull this off. Y Combinator is the only tier 1 here. And you got a lot in the tier 4. So basically, these are venture capitalists, angel investors, and corporations that are taking a stake in, early on investing in some of these things. And so to me, they can kind of gauge how you think that the big people who are very tapped into the market feel about something about to come out. See Kraken in here. Now, they put other down here for corporations. They don't rank them. But if you come over here to tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, they kind of give you an idea of like who's considered, top tier and then so on and so forth from the top tier, right? Just wanted to throw that out there for anybody who doesn't know. Okay, let's look at Alpaca's website real quick. Alpaca Markets, API, stock, options, crypto trading, and more. Sign up for free, right? They have tons of different partnerships. It looks like Ondo being on there. So they're probably heavily tied with Ondo. Product launches. Instant tokenization network. High yield cash. Brokerage API. Trading APIs. They have products that people are going to use. This is infrastructure, right? This is DePIN. Decentralized infrastructure. And they're actually probably not DePIN because they're probably very blended between both decentralized and traditional finance. The point here is that a lot of this stuff misses most retail, and most retail doesn't really get it. But for the people who are moving money around, who need regulation in their companies, who are looking to make big money in the market with their products, with their companies, it's a big deal. It actually matters. I made the joke here that CoinHako is kind of like the Temu version of Coinbase, and then it actually turned out to be very Coinbase-like, which was pretty funny. CoinHako is a regulated Singapore-based crypto exchange and digital wallet. What else is there really to know? It's a regulated Singapore-based crypto exchange. Not a whole lot to report there. And they've raised $10 million, which I feel like for what they are is not a lot of money. Pascal. Now, we've talked a lot about how a lot of these new projects and things are very centered towards institutions, maybe hedge funds, big players in the game, right? And so keep that in mind as we're moving on. I know I say it every day, but I just kind of want you guys to get the idea that if some people are well positioned in the know, right, about what is coming down the pipeline and who's involved and who's going to be in the market and not in the market, right, on the financial level from TradFi and your big players, they must have some kind of information because they just keep building products for institutions in crypto. Do with that what you want. It's my speculation here. 15 million total raise. Pascal is a decentralized prediction market platform for trading. So it's another prediction market in case you were, feeling really limited on the places where you could gamble on predictions. There's one more for you coming out of the thousands. I think you can do it right in Jupiter, Soulflare, Wallet, like just in a lot of places you can gamble on the weather even. So we got Recall, only 0.8 years old. Let's touch on that, see what that is. A decentralized platform for testing, verifying, and evolving AI agents, powering trustless machine-verified decision-making. What categories or niches, topics, narratives are you looking at right now? To me, services for institutions seems to be hot in the background. Retail is probably going to completely misunderstand that. But AI, of course, AI is such an interesting narrative and niche because it has so many layers to it, right? From your AI agent, but the AI agent needs to live on an agentic network, right? And that living on a blockchain in crypto, right? In blockchain technology. Obviously, there's companies like ChatGPT and stuff. They're not on chain. But anyways, then you have resources to make it run. You have data and oracles to feed it in real time, so now when it's running, it's actually working properly. Like, there's a lot of different niches. If you were looking to build a portfolio in AI, it's not just like, oh, this company's AI. It's like, what do they do in AI? So keep that in mind as well. Do you know your categories? Do you know your niches? When you see a project, do you know what the heck they are? That's the compounding effect to come into this show and raising that crypto IQ. Prime Minister says that pop-up window keeps chasing you. LOL. That pop-up window is really trying hard on Crypto Rank to get me to go and pay for the paid service, but I'm not going to do it. Orange juice. Okay, so strategy, which strategy might be in here. It's been trending a lot, right? Strategy, obviously, Michael Saylor. If you're like me, I didn't really know because I don't really deal in the stock market much, even though that's kind of how I got into crypto. It's a good story for another time. If you want to know, throw a 111 in the chat. Maybe I'll explain it at the end. But anyways, they were in the software business. Michael, Saylor Strategy, the company you always hear connected to that name and vice versa. 35 years in the software business. Now, I had never heard of them. I'm not studying software. But they got famous in the crypto world because they take their treasury and hold large amounts of Bitcoin. And they keep buying Bitcoin. It's like, I didn't know. I thought that they were just a company that just bought Bitcoin. Well, Orange Juice likes that idea. Orange Juice is a U.S. permanent capital firm building a Bitcoin treasury. So this is basically taking that idea and saying, hey, we're not going to worry about doing anything else. We're just going to hold Bitcoin in our treasury. So here is the, funder and backer right here. His name is Don Ricardo, so he must be the Don. And he's invested, I guess, about $40 million. Seems very interesting. Hopefully they do him well and run things well. If you're putting that money out there, you're really hoping that they're going to run a project well. Kaya always very connected to gaming. We used to mess with some different things that had to do with gaming, and you know, that one I haven't checked out in a while, the one that was like Space Invaders. We got to bring that back and see if that's still relevant. Kaya is a Ethereum virtual machine-based blockchain performed through a merge of this Caitlin and Finchia. It seems like two different things merged into one. I think that's the point they're trying to make. I'd never heard of either one of them, but I've definitely heard of Kaya, right? Public blockchain designed to meet enterprise-grade reliability and performance standards, with particularly focused on becoming Asia's leading blockchain platform. So they're very Asia-focused. There's little nuggets of information if you really pay attention, and if you're good at holding on to information, they can really serve you well when you're speculating. Says 111, yeah, talk to us, brother. I don't know, Prime Minister, maybe you've never heard. I will definitely talk about how I got into crypto, but let's wrap this up real quick, right? So let's see what other nuggets of information are important here. Offers rapid transaction finality, blockchain generated every second, capacity 4,000 transactions per second. So they're just giving you some metrics. How does it actually work? Okay, this is what we really need to know here. Kaya, and I'm interested in this because Kaya has been kind of the backbone of several different projects that I've been playing, you know, DeFi gaming that we do quite a bit here. So Kaya is a utility token. So Kaya is actually the utility token of the network. Consensus node. Kaya is also vital to the health and operation of the network. Usually the, you know, network token is. Incentivized high quality applications, because Kaya is a limited resource. It encourages developers to write efficient high quality code. Inefficient or wasteful code incurs higher transaction fees. Incentivize developers to optimize their applications for cost efficiency. I love when you're able to incentivize the right thing in a free market, right? Where the the incentive isn't like, you go to jail, we're going to catch you, you're going to go to jail. It just doesn't serve you to do the wrong thing. And crypto is very much like that. Blockchain technology works like that, right? Build On is a meme mascot for the BCH creation process, with the goal of turning USD1, that's World Liberty Finance's stablecoin, into liquid usable asset. So they're all about that USD1. They're all in the World Liberty Finance ecosystem. Good to understand your tokens, your blockchains, your ecosystems around them. Definitely good to understand, because just like categories and niches, narratives, when they move, if an ecosystem gets hot, you can kind of move down the line of the projects that the money's going to flow through. Very common strategy, but a lot of people haven't been here, so they don't really know. And of course, we have this eCash, Gala, and Ondo Finance. All right, I feel like that's sufficient for right here, right now. We'll get to the top gainers, top losers in a second here. But anyways, just to make it short, I feel like the more you tell, I don't know, for some reason when I say tell a story, it feels like you're saying like something made up. When I tell the story of how I got into crypto, it gets a little shorter and easier to explain every time. It's pretty simple. Big world global event happened and markets tanked heavily. You may remember. You might have had to roll up your sleeve. You might have lost your job. Of course, the stock world, I wasn't really in it. Wasn't really paying a lot of attention. For whatever reason, I must have saw an ad or something. I downloaded Robinhood and I was like, this is kind of cool. Everything's super cheap. I kind of had a little bit of an idea about investing through some mentors and people who I knew that were big investors and stuff. And so I was like, I'm going to try it. So I put some money in. Next thing you know, 6-7 months later, everything pretty much rebounded. I was like, all right, cool. Took profits. And when I was taking profits on Robinhood, right, this is my connection with Robinhood here, is that they had cryptocurrency, and there were two cryptocurrencies. There was Ethereum. For the longest time, it was just Ethereum. And then there was Dogecoin. I took like $200, maybe $220, and I threw it in Dogecoin. And I didn't really think about it because I had just sold all of my stocks and stuff, you know? So I kind of sold everything on the platform, moved it back to my bank account. While I was doing it, I threw $200 of my profit in this, you know, Dogecoin. No idea what it was at all. Didn't even know what cryptocurrency was at all. And the next thing you know, I'm hearing about Dogecoin everywhere. Dogecoin this, Dogecoin's just absolutely flying, right? Kind of like what Cash Cat did recently. And I'm like, I think I bought some of that. So months later from when I actually bought it, I go back and I look at it and it is up. Like, it's really up. And it would go up much more. But that is what made me start going and looking and trying to figure out what the heck crypto is. How does it work? Why is everybody freaking out about it being like, you know, one of the biggest innovations in global everything, technology, e-commerce, code, everything. And so I was like, I got to figure this out. And of course, who was on top of the crypto world at that time but a handful of people, BitBoy being one of them. And then that's where, you know, me and my friend who would work for me, because I had a handyman trade company. And so, yeah, we would every morning we would listen to BitBoy while we were working, while we were driving to the job, whatever it was. And that is basically where I started educating, but I didn't stay there, right? I moved other places. I watched other people around the blockchain would bring people on. Crypto, Jeb, The Lifer. That's how I got onto The Lifer's channel. And it's just really interesting, though, when you really are dedicated and focused. It's like I started watching BitBoy's YouTube channel. Then I met him in real life. I started watching Lifer's channel. Then I met him in real life. You know what I mean? And so it's, to me, a little bit of like divine timing. Like, that just doesn't happen for everybody to get the opportunities the way that they do. So I very much feel like I am absolutely meant to be here on YouTube talking, but I had to do it. I don't know. I had to do it different, right? Like, I'm not going to come in here and just do like a trading show. That's what the Lifer does. You know what I mean? And not just because I respect him highly, which I do, but because I want something that complements it, right? I want it to work together. I want people to watch the Lifer show and then be like, tonight I'm going to watch, you know, Underground Crypto and raise my crypto IQ. And then the two work really well together. That was the idea. Anyways, let's get to those talking points real quick. Let's set it up for the week. Yeah, man, when you get time, love to hear it. There we go. We just ran through it. The 2008 crash, right? No, I wish I would have got in there. I do have a story about, I used to watch this show, a radio show, watch it. No, I listened to it on the way to work every morning at like friggin', 6:30 in the morning. I was working for like a framing company, or a construction company. I was doing framing. Anyways, and they were just buy Bitcoin, buy Bitcoin, buy Bitcoin, buy Bitcoin. Somebody knew, like somebody really knew, because it's funny, whoever was telling you to buy Bitcoin, like it was just on the radio, and they were not, there was no affiliate link, right? There was no like thing that they were benefiting from. They were just telling you, and Bitcoin was like 50 cents at the time. And I went to Kraken and I tried to buy Bitcoin and stuff. I don't think it ever happened. I don't think I was ever able to buy it. I had no idea what I was doing. I was probably like 20 years old, maybe 21. And I had never set up a wallet or any of that stuff. But now that I think back about it, like, I don't know how Kraken operated back then, but they're a centralized exchange. So I don't think I would have needed to set up a wallet. I only remember a couple of things about it. I remember that there was something to do with the wallet and it wouldn't work. But what I really think happened, here's what I think happened. I think that my bank, because this is back in those days where they did not compute, I think my bank was not allowing me the purchase to go through. And me being, maybe even 19, but probably about 20 years old, I didn't know, like, I could probably call the bank and say, hey, I'm doing this on purpose, allow this transaction to go through. I tried it maybe another time or two and it wouldn't work. Again, this was way before I ever bought Dogecoin, like many, many, many years, right? And so I just gave up. I just stopped trying. And man, what a huge mistake that was. That, or I did buy it and Kraken is lying and they just don't want to tell me. They keep telling me that there's no account with that email. I only had one email for 10 years. So I'm pretty sure that I should have bought it. I think my bank was stopping it. And I was too young to really understand that you could get around that, like you could call them. And that cost me a lot of money. I was trying to buy like $20. Bitcoin was 50 cents. I try not to think about it because honestly, it makes me incredibly mad how close I was. But then again, I don't know why I'm eating chocolate live on stream. It's probably a bad idea. Stop doing that. Then again, if I would have had that money at that age, I might not be here. Let's be honest. Because we were wilding out. We were wild. So, here's the problem. Let's set it up for all who are listening. The blockchain says the transaction was valid. That's the problem. Now, why would that be the problem? Imagine a user discovers a weakness in a DeFi protocol. Bonk. The protocol uses price oracle with limited liquidity. The user trades against the market, pushes the reported price dramatically higher, uses the inflated asset as collateral, and withdraws most of the protocol's liquidity. Every command passes. The wallet contains the correct signatures, the smart contract performs its program calculations, validators confirm the transactions. From the blockchain's perspective, the transaction is completely valid. And then the users argue. I did not hack the code. I used the protocol exactly how it was written, so they didn't technically do anything wrong. But the depositors who lost their money see a totally different story. They believe the user deliberately manipulated the market to withdraw assets that were never meant to be available to them in the first place, what we would consider to be fraudulent. So who's right here? The protocol answers the technical question. It doesn't answer the legal or the moral question, right? And we talked a lot about the technical and the legal. We haven't even begun to scratch morality, and we probably won't, because morality, I guess, I don't believe it's up to your interpretation, but most people would. I think actual morality is pretty concrete, but that's all right. That's what your conscience is for. Separated for different questions. The confusion disappears when we stop treating valid as one universal word. There are at least 4 different questions here. Was it technically valid, right? Did the transaction satisfy the blockchain's programmed conditions? Because again, that's what a blockchain is. What it actually authorized. Was it actually authorized, right? Did the right person knowingly approve it, or was the wallet compromised, manipulated, or deceived? Was it legally permissible, right? Did the conduct involve fraud, theft, market manipulation, sanction violations, or other prohibited activities? This is kind of an interesting one too, because we get into regions like this and people are like, we got to make laws, and they do this all over the place. And like, technically we have laws already, right? Where it's like, in America specifically, I'm not a pro on the rest of the world. I'm not even a pro on American government and stuff like that. But a lot of times theft is theft and fraud is fraud. It doesn't really matter where it happens. The same way market manipulation is market manipulation. It doesn't really matter what market you're manipulating, right? The other question is, what remedy is available here? Can the transaction be reversed? Code is lost says no. Can assets be frozen somewhere else? The regulator in USDT and USDC say yes. Can restitution be ordered by the courts? Or can responsible people be held liable? The problem with a lot of times, you just get a wallet address. That's not going to work. How are you going to subpoena a wallet address? The blockchain conclusively answers only the first question. Here's the payoff though. Technical finality is not legal finality. So what is final on a blockchain doesn't necessarily mean it's final in real life and undisputable. Once we understand those 4 questions, code versus law becomes an easier breakdown. A blockchain may be unable to reverse the transaction. A court may still order someone to return equivalent assets. A protocol may continue operating the whole time. And the front-end provider may still be ordered to restrict access. The original crypto may have moved behind or beyond recovery. Other property belonging to the responsible person may still be available to satisfy a judgment. Code can make transaction technically final without making the underlying dispute legally final. I hope that makes a lot of sense to you guys. Super Hex Win says, what's Pulse Chain? The fact that you have Hex in your name, I'm thinking I think you know what Pulse Chain is, right? And you know what's funny? I'm glad that you came in here, Super Hex Win. If you're super knowledgeable on Pulse Chain, I'm really wanting to do a series. About every year I deep dive Hex and Pulse Chain, right? I mean, it's on my list of things to do all the time. And it changes a lot. Pulse Chain is one I really looked into when it first came out. And I haven't done a deep dive on it in a while. I'm about due for my Pulse Chain Hex deep dive. I've seen Hex and Pulse Chain have gotten a little bit of positive price action lately. And they do that and then they kind of fade off. But anyways, if you actually know a lot about it, I'd love you to be a part of this community and give us some information, some talking points. You probably said that to kind of not trigger in a bad way, but to trigger me to like actually talk about Pulse Chain and stuff, because you know you believe Super Hex wins, and I hold some Hex, by the way. So smash that like button, and there's a link to my free Discord in the description. Come on in and tell us about what you love about Pulse Chain, and give me some good information as well, so that I can do a whole deep dive on it. It's OG fork of ETH made by Richard Hart. Oh, Prime Minister says he got me on that one. Yeah. You know how people are. They want to pump something. They just come in there like, what is XRP? Tell me more. And their name's like XRP to the moon. You got to respect the hustle, though. I respect the heck out of that. Get in there. Get people talking about it. If you think it's great, you should probably be telling people about it, right? Just like all the people who were telling, like whoever paid for that ad to tell people about Bitcoin that I heard on the radio when I was 19 years old, right? Wish I would have got some of that benefit. Didn't understand anything, and I was out here working the hard way, you know what I mean, in the sun, in the Florida sun. When I could have been just buying, loading Bitcoin and just dumb rich. But again, I don't think I'd be here on this YouTube channel, or possibly even alive if I had all that money at that young age. So, code is law. Let's get to these main talking points, because I think this was going well. Melissa says, I hold some Pulse. I really wish I would have sacrificed Hex for Pulse. I kind of missed the boat on that. What you got to understand is, like, even though I do this, and we've been doing this for probably almost a year, this live stream show, and I was making pre-recorded videos, I was super busy. I worked 24/7 before that. Literally, like, there'd be months I wouldn't have a day off, 7 a.m. to, you know, rolling in the house at literally 2, 3, 4 in the morning to get up at, you know, 8:30, 7:30 and do it again the next day. But I was making incredibly good money, especially for, you know, what I was doing. And so it was worth it. But man, do you think I had time? Like, my crypto education and stuff at that period in my life was mostly like watching BitBoy, like watching content on YouTube, right? And it did a lot for me, but I didn't have the ability to deep dive stuff. And if you know anything about Hex and Pulse, they're kind of shunned from everywhere, you know what I mean? And you can dislike BitBoy all you want, but BitBoy started a separate channel. It didn't go on for very long, where it was all about Hex and Pulse Chain. And I thought that was really cool, because I actually learned more about Pulse and Hex Chain. And I don't even know if Pulse was quite out back then, but I think it was. That's where I learned a lot about that stuff. And then I was just so busy, I never really got to do it. I didn't own a whole lot of Hex, just a tiny bit, so I didn't really focus on it. But I really wish that I would have sacrificed for Pulse. But I see that Hex gets a little bit of a pump here and there, so I'd like to understand the economy over there. Some people still heavy Hex. Some people went to Pulse. Is it like Hex is kind of the dead chain and everybody went to Pulse? I don't really understand. But whoever came in the chat and said that, they did a great job. I wish they would have stuck around. Let us know if you're still here, Super Hex. But, yeah, I feel like they did a good job of getting us talking about it. But I like the topic anyways. People should use Pulse Chain instead of the corporate ETH junk. The real decentralized projects with communities consensus that are true cryptos. Yeah, and I feel like that is very much why a lot of people really love Hex. It's the people who really understand decentralization, the power of it, and are willing to regulate and run their own lives. They don't want somebody to do everything for them. But that's far and few between. Just like people who want to raise that crypto IQ can be very far and few between. The sad thing is the founder of most of these chains started as grassroots cyberpunk projects. But many have sold their souls to the banker. Yep, and we do judge them heavily on that. And we don't always know how much of a choice they really had in it. It's a hot take, but in the world, when you get to a certain level, from my understanding, this is just from my understanding and observation of things, you get to a certain level, and there's players, and you may not really have a viable option. Let's just put it that way. And we've seen what's happened to crypto millionaires, but also crypto billionaires just wind up missing. And then they find them, right? I don't know what I can say on YouTube. Anyways, let's do these talking points because I do want to raise that crypto IQ for myself, if not everyone else as well. So number one, code is law. Contains two different claims when you say it. The first claim is descriptive. The protocol executes the rules written into the software. So there's a law there in the, I guess, protocol, you would say. I'm trying to use the right words here, right? And so that necessarily is true, because the protocol operates off of the code that it's given. And that is largely true. Smart contracts do not normally pause to ask whether a result feels fair. It's not, it's like math. It's not a feeling, it's math. The second claim is philosophical, though. Whatever the outcome the protocol executes should be accepted as the final legitimate outcome. That is highly debatable. And your courts and things would not agree, right? Because that completely takes... The problem with that, when it comes to governments, courts, whatever, is it takes all of the power away from them. Which is, by the way, what it was designed to do. That is not technically fact. It's a value judgment. A person can support predictable, immutable execution without believing fraud, theft, and coercion or manipulation should be legal simply because the transaction was passed. I am in that camp of people who doesn't believe that, fraud and things like that should be acceptable just because it's immutable. But there is a heavy argument, and it's not so much about after it happens, in my opinion, just reversing things and forking things and just eliminating it. I think it's having the right code and things and the right foresight for this stuff ahead of time, and when it happens, fix it so that it can't happen again, or at least make an attempt at making sure we fix it, so that if you make a fix, you find other problems, you fix those until eventually we don't have things to fix anymore. It'll keep you busy, that's for sure. Smart contract does not always mean legal contract, right? The word contract is very deceiving here. A traditional legal contract normally requires elements such as an agreement, intent, legal sufficient exchange, capable parties, and a lawful purpose. A smart contract may not serve different jobs, may do several different jobs. I don't know what I'm reading. Just making up what I want to. I'm saying what I want to say. No, I'm just kidding. All right, so a smart contract may do several different jobs. Record an agreement, automate one obligation, hold collateral, transfer payments, calculate rewards, execute liquidation, and exist as software with no separate legal agreement. The code may be part of a legal relationship without containing the whole relationship. Important information may still exist in terms of services, loan agreements, governance documents, consumer protection laws, property laws, fraud laws, jurisdiction, and dispute resolution clauses. The code The code explains what the machines will do. The complete legal agreement explains what the parties are entitled to do. I need some water. I think that's why I'm messing things up. How's everybody doing out there? This week's series has been heavy. It does feel like I might have scared a couple of people away, but that's okay. Every series every week is not going to be as heavy. So what would you guys like to see as a series next week or in the foreseeable future? Like, what sounds like a good series for you, right? A cryptographic signature is not completely human consent. I hope you see what we're outlining here. A cryptographic signature is not completely human consent. Blockchains treat possession of the private key as authority to sign. Again, if you have possession of a private key, you have the authority to sign it because it pops up on your computer and you can click the button. It doesn't know who you are. If you leave your computer open and you're signed into your wallet and a robber breaks into your house and just signs a proposal to send all your money to them, you know, the protocol is not going to know. The blockchain's not going to know. That provides strong technical verification, but several problems remain possible. The key could have been stolen, malware changed the transaction, phishing page disguised what was being signed, right? The person signed under coercion, right? Or, gunpoint or something like that. The interface presented misleading information. The user lacked legal capacity. They didn't have enough brain cells to know what was going on, maybe. And authorized employee exceeded their actual authority. So you work at a company and you sent all the company's treasury to your wallet. All right, that would exceed your job that you had, right? Greatly. So the network cannot investigate those circumstances before adding the transaction to a blockchain. This creates a major difference. Cryptographic authorization asks whether the correct key was signed. Legal authorization asks whether the responsible person knowingly and validly approved the action. Totally different things here. Where's Stregahart? Probably because of the timing of the show on a Saturday. An exploit can follow the code and still violate the law. The phrase code allowed it, right? Or the code allowed it is not completely a defense against legal scrutiny. Law frequently distinguishes between using a system normally and intentionally manipulating it, obtaining something through deception or abuse. An exploit analysis may examine, did the person create an artificial price? Did they trade with themselves? Did they knowingly exploit false information? Did they misrepresent collateral value? Did they intend to repay borrowed assets? Did they conceal their identity or proceeds? Did they negotiate immunity after taking the funds? The fact that a program executed the transaction is evidence about how the event happened. It doesn't automatically decide whether the conduct was lawful. Blockchain finality and legal finality are two different things. Blockchain finality means the network has accepted the transaction and that reversing it is technically difficult or practically impossible. That's blockchain technology for you. Legal finality means the dispute has been resolved under the applicable legal system, meaning it's been through the court and they said, hey, no, it was fine. They didn't do anything wrong. No judgment, or no order to pay something back or something like that. That would be legal finality. A court may not be able to erase an Ethereum transaction, but it may be able to order restitution, issue an injunction, freeze assets held by intermediaries, especially in stablecoins, seize other properties as collateral, impose damages, fine or imperson the responsible person if they can find them, and restrict a business from continuing certain activities. The law does not always need to reverse the chain to impose a consequence. That's the point. Immutable code can limit everyone, even the government. Immutable does not always restrict developers. It can also restrict a DAO voter, victims, courts, regulators, sanctions, authorities, and the original creators. Going back to our tornado case here, check out this chat. All right, we're up to date on this chat. The Fifth Circuit's Tornado Cash decision illustrates this problem. The court concluded that the immutable contracts at issue could not be owned or controlled in the way required by a particular sanction statute, meaning they couldn't really do anything about the immutable contracts. That does not mean the code created its own sovereign jurisdiction, though. It means the government must act within powers actually granted by Congress. Immutability can constrain private power and government power simultaneously, which again was not an accident. It was on purpose. But that doesn't mean you completely can escape the physical world, right? All of this stuff happens in a digital realm, if you want to think about it that way, right? In that digital realm, it's very hard for the government to reach in there and mess with the code a lot of the time in these type of networks. On your regular internet, it's totally different. But anyways, all of that is still in the physical. You can still easily be held responsible, right? So the human layer can still be legally relevant. Even when the core contracts are immutable, people may still operate surrounding services. Those services can include the front end, the relays, fee system, governance interfaces, hosting, marketing, customer support, development businesses, and treasury management. That is why the Tornado Cash sanction litigation and the Roman Storm, that's the guy who made it, prosecution could produce different outcomes. One examined whether autonomous contracts qualified as sanctionable property under a specific law. And we already said that they said, you kind of can't do anything about those immutable contracts. The other examined the conduct of a person accused of knowingly operating a money transmission business. So he was held legally responsible because they believed that he was knowingly operating a money transmission business. And it doesn't matter where a person is knowingly operating a money transmission business. Doesn't matter if it's in the real world, in the digital world, it's still a crime. The subject of legal analysis matters. And this stuff here I think is really good, especially if you back up to things like the XRP case and stuff like that. I didn't hear a lot of really good analysis. There was a few, but a lot of them were like XRP maxis and stuff, and no big deal there. I love my XRP people, but it wasn't a lot of like really deep understanding of the system and how it works, right? Especially when it came to securities. I feel like everybody was saying securities for like the first time in their life, and they had no idea what the heck they were talking about. And I'm not going to say back then when XRP case happened, I knew a ton of things about securities. That's why I raise my crypto IQ daily. Even blockchains depend on social consensus. Ethereum's 2016 DAO fork demonstrated that blockchain history is not selected by code alone. This is the big code is law moment here, was when we created Ethereum Classic. And I say we like I had anything to do with it. I did not. Ethereum Foundation forked the code. One of them's Ethereum Today. The other one is Ethereum Classic. Spoiler alert, Ethereum Classic is the one with a lot less money in it because they did not reverse the money that was lost. Ethereum that you know today, I think literally won out over Ethereum Classic just because the price was higher. I do. But either way, they decided code is not law. We lost. We don't like it. So we'll just change the rules. And that's what led to Cardano's creation. All right, up to date on chat. Software clients, miners at the time, exchanges, developers, and users had to choose which rules and chain they would recognize. The community adopted the fork that became today's Ethereum. The original chain continued as Ethereum Classic. Ethereum's current history page describes the DAO disagreement as the most notable permanent chain split, aka fork, ever. Here's a really interesting question too. Did Ethereum that decided to reverse the hack, did they stay relevant and kind of the number one because they had the name Ethereum, right? It was just Ethereum. Where the original chain became Ethereum Classic, so now it has a distinguishable difference between Ethereum. What if it was the other way around? What if Ethereum Classic would have stayed Ethereum without the Classic, and Ethereum would have been like, you know, Ethereum 2 or Ethereum, you know, some kind of iteration that showed that it was separate, right? It wouldn't say Classic because that wouldn't make any sense, but like Ethereum 2, you know, new Ethereum, something like that. Would people have stayed on the regular Ethereum chain? Now, also, people had money in Ethereum, and if the hack would have been justified, if they would have said, if there would have never been a fork and they would have just agreed on one thing and then moved forward with Ethereum Classic, that could have greatly hurt the evolution and the image around it. Because if all of those people had just lost a high majority of their money, people would be very upset, right? So Ethereum's current history page describes that DAO disagreement as a notable permanent, the most notable permanent chain split probably ever. The code did not independently decide which chain deserved the Ethereum name, ticker, or liquidity, or the community. People and institutions made those decisions. And institutions, I'm sure, have money in there. They had a stake in it. Chris Goss in the house. I see your name is coming up as normal today. I don't know why YouTube does that all the time. 333, my fellow lifer. Thank you for your always support. You always pop in and drop a comment. I appreciate that. Would love to hear more from you in the chat, though, and get to know you, as we've gotten to know many people here. Prime Minister says lots of communities go bearish when market is not pumping. I'm in many discords and people are very silent because of the market. Then the moment it turns green, you see everyone talking. Yeah, and that's the classic bear market. Everybody runs away when they should be paying attention and positioning. The smart money is paying. It's like, to say this a different way, one of the most notable things that I've noticed about smart money and dumb money is that smart money loves when the price is down. Smart money loves when the attention is gone. The smart money, if the market is something they believe in long term, they're all in there. But they don't constantly advertise themselves. They don't need to, right? They just come in and buy and build and buy and build and buy, and then when the shift picks back up, they're heavily positioned to benefit. And retail works the complete opposite. Retail sees the prices down, they don't educate anymore. They don't watch that crypto show. They don't watch that influencer. They don't look at coins. They don't go to websites. They're like, they don't do anything. They just tune out and they think, you know, I'll come back whenever things are popping. When everyone's talking about it, I'll come back and I'll make a bunch of money then, is what they tell themselves, right? And worse than that, a lot of them see the market down, get scared, and take the $10,000 worth of crypto they bought at the top of the market when everybody was excited because their mentality is completely backwards, and they sell it for $4,000 or they sell it for $2,000 instead of just holding it, right? And then they come rushing back when Bitcoin's back over 100,000. And I'm telling you, it happens every time. I guarantee it. And every time I hear influencers, the good ones out there especially, telling people like bear market is the best. This is the time to position and build. This is the time to learn, time to know your projects, time to know how blockchain works, time to have some sense about what's going on to position yourself. And it falls on deaf ears 99% of the time. And that's okay, because we're here for those 1%. And if you want to be the 1% in the world, you got to think like the 1%, not the 99%. Prime Minister says, exactly, bro. Retail does the opposite of what they should be doing every time. That's why many get wrecked. Exactly. And that's why you'll hear somebody and they'll just say some negative random stuff about crypto. And it's like, yeah, you bought the top of the market. You didn't know anything. You didn't bother to try to learn anything. And then you sold at a heavy loss and you were mad. And when you watch the market 2-3 years later go sky high again and realize that you never had to lose any money, like you could have, if you would have just held it, you would have got your money back and then some, then you're even more mad. And it's everybody else's fault that you lost money and didn't know what you're doing. It's not your fault. The guy with the phone and the guy with the computer hitting all the buttons, making all the decisions, moving money out of his own bank account. It's not his fault. No. It's everybody else's fault because they promised him something. And that is why they call you dumb money. So during these moments, you should be locked in and focused, paying attention to everything. Just be locked in and focused, paying attention all the time. You're going to have a ton of fun in the bull market, and you're going to be well positioned and educated in the bear market. Just be consistent. But hey, that's what I want to do. So better systems define collision before it happens, right? Prime Minister says, facts, bro, you're so right. Hey, that's what we're trying to do here. All right. Let's keep educating ourselves as we're talking about educating ourselves. So better systems define the collision before it happens. The responsible smart contract system should explain. So we're talking about a responsible smart contract system. It should explain whether the code or written agreement controls when the conflict happens, right? What counts as a bug or an exploit, whether a contract can be upgraded, the difference between an immutable contract and an upgradable contract, who controls emergency powers, how Oracle failures are handled, whether governance can reverse decisions, right? Can the governance reverse a decision? Again, going back to Ethereum and Ethereum Classic, which jurisdictions apply, how disputes are resolved, and what remedies remain possible. Removing every human remedy creates predictability, but it also makes bugs and stolen keys much more dangerous. Adding emergency powers creates recovery options, but it also introduces centralized control. In a decentralized environment, that's a problem. There's no perfect answer here. Every design disputes risk differently, and every design is different, right? Here's the one thing that I really love about blockchain technology. Crypto, as most people, again, we talked about this a lot, oversimplified. They use a word to oversimplify because they're not educated in a niche, in a topic. Blockchains are amazing because the technology is just really a public ledger at its basis core. And then, of course, smart contracts and things written on. I'm not a developer, so I don't necessarily know that the nuances of everything that goes on, but I do have a little bit of sense of how they work, mem pools and things like that, block finality, validators, nodes, all that stuff. But my point is, Bitcoin came out, it is blockchain technology. It did things a certain way. Ethereum came out, they were blockchain technology, but they did things their own way. Avalanche, Sui, Solana came out, they're a blockchain. The technology at its core is very much the same, but you have the way that they do things, right? Think of a company, think of a business, which is a company, a corporation. They have the right, if I start a business or a corporation in America, aside from the legal obligations to not steal and commit fraud, but like aside from that, I have the right to run my company structure however I want, hold whatever assets as long as they're legal in my treasury. Like, I'm allowed to do what I want. That's the difference a lot of times behind a highly successful company and a not highly successful company is how they ran it. Well, how you run it in blockchain is called consensus. Consensus can be done, and I'm going somewhere with this. I know this might be repetitive information, but consensus is just how the blockchain is run. So every new blockchain, every new idea from we went from proof of work to proof of stake. There's proof of liquidity, proof of useful liquidity. There's all kinds of these different consensuses, but all of them are an experiment to make something very, specific use case, right? Something like a different consensus, like the difference between proof of stake and proof of useful liquidity might really work for a certain application, and that blockchain is therefore very niche to a very specific application. We need that. But it's also an experiment, and constantly experimenting with these things, we learn a lot about what works, what doesn't work, and how to integrate and kind of pick and pull as we build new blockchains, and it's really, really, really interesting where we could go from there. What happens when the technology evolves? And we could pretty much combine all of it. Combine Bitcoin's ideas. You know, what if there was a blockchain that had the best of like all of the different consensus, right? That's kind of what I'm getting at, is we can continue to evolve and improve, and we can do new things. And if there's certain applications where a proof of work blockchain just doesn't work well, then we could build something else and plug it in, and it could work well. So, and we could keep the idea of decentralization the whole time in the blockchain technology that I think will, in fact, revolutionize the world. Let's check out these top gainers, top losers of the day. Blockworks, one of our favorite places for data and information. If it intimidates you, don't feel like you're alone. We're just doing our top gainers, top losers. That shouldn't intimidate you. Build-on's up 50% basically. XEC or eCash is up 7%, rounding here. Jasmy's up 6%. Neo's up 5%. Starlink's up 4%. Top losers, though, 10% on Bonk. Not surprising. I don't know what's going on with Bonk. I don't keep up with it. I don't hold any Bonk. You know, there's too many coins. Like I say, Pokemon told you got to catch them all. Doesn't apply to cryptocurrency. You can't own all of them. I don't think there's enough money in the world unless you're buying like a quarter's worth of every crypto. And then what the heck is the point? Anyways, off on a tangent. I don't keep up with Bonk because I don't hold it. The story is really interesting. We've gone over, I explained it earlier right off the top of my head what happened, but I don't know what's happened since then. Are they going to code his law? That goes really well with the topic. Are they going to code his law and they lost 20 million and the governance is now taken over by some random people? Or they're going to find a way to reverse things and do things. We don't know what the outcome is here, right? Ondo's down about 9%, Aerodrome about 5%, Decentralized Land Mana about 5%. Decentraland, the last time I looked at it, was rolling out some kind of game. I know there's supposed to be a whole virtual reality and stuff. They were rolling some stuff out and it wasn't quite ready. I would like to touch on that again in our DeFi gaming, right? Prime Minister says a good topic you should cover in the future is post-quantum cryptography. This is the next trend coming to crypto. Yeah, I've definitely thought about doing quantum computing in crypto, of course, but much better way to say that is post-quantum. I'm writing it down on my whiteboard tabletop here, so I'll remember cryptography. I think post-quantum should suffice. See what he says here. So elliptic curve cryptography is becoming outdated. Soon we'll be using lattice-based cryptography. Hey, I'd love to know more about that. I could sit and pick your brain about that. That'd be really cool. All right. I was going somewhere. What was it? Oh, I want to shout out Godel, of course. Oh, I'm not connected. Let's connect that wallet. Soulflare. Mining looks pretty good right now. Let's do some mining. This project is fire. If it's not for its community, it's for everything else about it, right? It's like ore, if you're familiar with ore. Let's go to the mine. We're in Rush here. I've explained it many times. If you don't get it, if you don't know what's going on, ask questions. Otherwise, I don't want to just explain it to the same people over and over and over again. Let's see. We got the right numbers. Everything looks good. Let's get to that auto mining. Godel, check latest tweet, bro. New features coming for Godel. Nice. You know what? I don't know if I'm following them. Okay, I am following. Good. I feel like that would look bad because I like this project a lot. All right. A new journey for Godel. Mining stays the foundation. That part never changes. Godel.fi, right, will be the home of everything we build next, which is really smart. I hate when projects go build something different and they don't integrate. Like, they'll keep the same name, they'll keep it, and it's loosely like, you know, associated, but then they just like go build it somewhere else. I don't understand it. Kind of like what we were talking about the other day, Mobox, and then they built like this Dragon versus this whole entire game. It's pretty cool for what it is, but then like didn't really use the Mobox coin or anything, and I was just like, that's a missed opportunity. Anyways, payment rails and stuff like that. What's going on here? So we're gonna have privacy, show more replies. All right. So payment rails, privacy infrastructure, and privacy first wallets are not separate products. The vision is one private financial stack. Get paid on chain for online work and real world goods at the POS. Pay from a shielded balance, receive into a shielded wallet. Private payment and settlement end to end. And shielded, I guess, meaning private, right? Payment rails. Infrastructure for payment. Okay, it's going to break it down. Post-quantum privacy infrastructure. Most systems are built for today and patched later. We're starting from where things are headed, Stark-based privacy on Solana. Designed for post-quantum security from day one. Built to power shielded balances, private payments, and settlements. This is nice. I like this. Yeah, point of sale. I've worked in restaurants most of my life. I'm very familiar. In my early years, I guess. Now I don't know if it was most of my life, but I did for a long time as a young person, right? Straight out of high school, all of that stuff, right? I worked in the kitchen. So I'm very familiar with a point of sale in a business like a restaurant. And I was, you know, a manager at like Taco Bell, right? Tokenized gold brought gold on chain, but mostly to be held, right? Bitcoin began as peer-to-peer electronic cash. I know I'm doing a little bit of a disservice in the way that I just read this, right? But we've talked about a lot of these topics, right? I like how I didn't capitalize the B there. Dope. Says anybody else's auto miner acting funky. Hate CCP, always saying the wildest things. What's up? Thanks for being here. Alright, so let's see what's going on here. The mother load and Godel is low. It must have popped recently. But the Solana one is a decent size, right? It's almost 1,000. I know that the mother load had hit like a lot. And this has been going for a while. And I don't even want to fight with these guys, honestly. At this point, if I don't get in like early, if I'm not getting in early on these shovels, I'm not buying $3 shovels. $3 shovels are too expensive. I want to buy my shovels under $2. The cool thing is that they pay out a dividend, and I spent $60. $60 on shovels. And I thought, man, I really messed up. Like, I really messed up. That was way too much money to spend on shovels and get nothing out of it. And then I ended up making like $75 on dividends. So I actually profited $10. It was a little more than that. But I profited like $10. That's such a genius idea. I love that dividend idea. All right, and we are mining here. You can see down here what I haven't claimed. Looks like we got about 10 Godel unclaimed. The soul doesn't really rack up because remember, you're spending the soul, right? I guess you're only going to get like a soul reward or something if you hit, you know, the mother load pops and gets distributed between all the miners. A lot of stuff. And then, of course, I think it's interesting. You can kind of click on like anybody and you can see their wallet. It can be deceiving because they can have multiple wallets and stuff like that. But you can kind of see anybody. You can see what they're holding, especially if you're trying to compete with them in the in Rush. You might want to go look at him, like this 3IP. You might want to go look at him. He's got some dough. He can definitely buy some shovels and compete with you, right? And he might only have $20 in his wallet here, but I mean, he's got plenty of unrefined and stuff that he can just swap. So he could definitely go to war with you over some shovels. I've been back and forth with him before. And then they have the Explorer. You can go here and you can see what's going on, your metrics. You can go to mining and like go to the last motherlode, right? And you can see exactly when it was, who the winner was, what block it was or what round it was. So then you could go even to your own profile and you could look and find that round and you could look and see exactly what you got from it, right? So if you were mining at a certain point and a big motherlode happened, but it's like an hour later that you check on it, you can actually go find it, right? "3IP is a Chad, LOL. That's hilarious. Said we thought he was a bot, but he's human, LOL. All I want is crypto to moon. I'm with you there. You might have to hold on though. You might have to hold on for a little while, a year at least, and that's just to see some very obvious, positive action. What do we got? New pinned post and dog with hat. Interesting. Somebody liked my post. I'll take it. I'll take it. Follow me. Crypto Ron. You'll see this little image of me here. And no, it's not a fake profile. Twitter is just not very kind to me at all. I only have like 137 followers. And they show my content to nobody. And I know that it's not purely my own fault here, because if I have like a post, I wanted to boost it, right? So I did this video on, the video was very much on Robinhood, but because Cash Cat is a part of that narrative and stuff, I can't even boost it. So I went to Grok, because they're owned by Twitter, and I asked, like, why the heck can I not like boost my own post? I'm trying to get some exposure here, right? And they're like, oh, it's because it's crypto and it has to do with a meme coin. You can't really advertise meme coins and stuff. It's like, oh, well, that sucks. I'm not really trying to advertise a meme coin. I'm trying to advertise my video that I did on Robinhood chain. But too much hype around Cash Cat. Too many scammers and stuff ruined it for everybody. I guess they're trying to protect people, but all they do is really hurt people in my position. But what is the trade-off worth it, though? CCP says, liked and subscribed. Thank you. I appreciate you. I just want enough money, so money is not a worry. Exactly. For most of us reasonable people, I think that is the goal. Not trying to be like, 100 billionaires necessarily, because at some point, probably around $1 billion, we can all agree that money kind of loses concept. You have enough to just do whatever you want all the time, and it doesn't really matter how much anything costs. And so unless you're buying like a country or something like that. And so basically, what do you really need past $1 billion? Now, I'm not trying to limit anybody's ability to go past $1 billion, but mostly just want enough money to not have to worry about stuff. So just want enough money to pay for Ma'am Donnie's free grocery store and whatever taxes. Oh yeah, that's right. You said you were in New York City. Got you. Yeah, I'm not a fan of all that, but, I guess you New Yorkers are going to have to figure it out. I'm blessed to be, in Florida with DeSantis, who's done a pretty wonderful job. I don't think anybody's perfect, but I think he's done a pretty wonderful job. You know what's funny? is the other day it was brought up about like the 2020 election or whatever and Trump, and I noticed quite a few people tuned out, and I don't think they've been back. Hopefully Campsta's not one of them. Hopefully we see Campsta. It's Saturday night, so I wouldn't expect to see him, but hopefully he comes back. Hopefully I didn't offend him. But, you know, I got to speak my truth just like everybody else does. All right. We're just watching the mines at this point. We're probably going to go look at something else real quick. Yeah, I just want enough money for Mamdani to take. Well said. Well said. Roller coin. I hit one of these like once or twice a day. These rounds take like 3 seconds. I literally like don't play any other game. I just messed up really bad there too. Not that it matters much at all. I could have hit a big one, right? Like a one move win. There you go. And as soon as you get to like 2,000 points, they move you on. I don't really know what the heck the point of it is. Honestly, I don't know what the point of it is. Did I forget to plant? I forget to plant the crops. I must have harvested them like a couple hours ago. No big deal. Chainers still going strong. I used to just take everything and donate it for BNB. Donate it, sell it, whatever. Whatever you want to call it. At this farm stand, which I'll show in a half second here, where I'm just generating some free BNB. But then I realized that I kind of need some things that I grow to make food for some of the animals. But then you get to the point where you don't have the thing you need. Like, I think to make chicken feed, I need sweet peas and corn. Let's see. I think that's right. Wrong thing here. Animal feed. It's basically like you have a farm and you're farming rather Polmatic, CFB, the in-game currency, or BNB, which are cool that you can actually get real crypto out of it, even if it's a limited amount. They can't give you everything for free all the time, because then they would go bankrupt. So I'm looking for chicken food. Okay, here's chicken food. So yeah, corn and peas. My problem is I have peas. I just don't have any corn. And I'm like forever waiting for the shop, which I don't check it enough. I probably should. Here it is, corn. But I don't want to pay Tether for it. On the Polygon chain network is what it is. I want to pay CFB, the in-game currency. Usually they have them side by side, so I can see that's not going to play out, right? It would be interesting to get this cropper. He's supposed to basically, I don't know, harvest your stuff and replant stuff. I don't know if I have $1.33 here. I'd really love 2 of them. Polygon network, MetaMask, I'm pretty sure is what we used last time. I don't know if I still have a little bit of money there. Okay, connecting. Not enough money. I have 34 pull. I got $50 traffic ticket for driving on a bus lane. The picture they sent me shows me not driving on a bus lane. I appealed online. Decision came back from an Islamic named judge saying I'm guilty. There are suddenly a ton of traffic cameras for driving on bus lanes and a ton of surprising new bus lanes. Yeah, it's a conspiracy a little bit, huh? Like they're just trying to find the heck out of people. And then what are you going to do when you appeal it and they just say, no, you did do it. Then what are you going to do? Let's see. What can I use? They actually say that I can use Ethereum. Probably need to switch my wallet here. I really want this corn. It's probably not the most important thing ever, but They got me on the Robinhood network. Let's go to Ethereum. Oof, that doesn't work. I wish I could use the Robinhood chain. It's where I have most of my money right this second. Oh, well, I'll figure this out another time. But I really wanted to buy via CFB here. I don't understand their shop. Like, everything is not available all the time. And to me, that's problematic. Like, I can't just come in here and buy corn with CFB. I gotta, like, wait for them to, like, decide that they want to sell corn in CFB, and they change it all the time. It's kind of a weird way to run a shop. But, whatever. It is what it is. Let's go get our daily rewards. What I love about Godel is that miner's just running in the background. And for those who don't get it, Or is a project very similar to Godel. Or when we found Or, I don't remember where we found it at, but I really didn't understand what the heck it was. And that's back in the day where Orhan was here a lot. And I don't know. I was just trying to see if people would be involved, and I was like, yo, will you look into this and give me, some kind of description of how it works? Because I didn't have time to do it myself. And he said he would, but he never did, which is fine. No big deal. My point is that because of that, I never really got to the bottom of what the heck Or was. Now I get it because of Godel, because somebody took the time to explain it to me. Shout out the Prime Minister. And so now I kind of get it. I'm sure there's something I'm not understanding, but I get it as best as I can in this moment. My point is that Or went to $1,500 a coin, and I think people went a little crazy for it. Godel has been as high as I think $30, and right now it's under 2 because we're in the bottom of a bear market, not necessarily because there's anything wrong with Godel. And as long as they keep integrating and doing stuff and they don't break anything along the way, they're probably easily going back to $30 or more. Usually projects, especially if they've been building and get more attention in a bullish time, it's not hard for a project like that to get attention. And basically, there's high potential it could go high, like Or did. Now, there's no guarantee that it's going to go to like $1,500, but technically it could do something like that. Also, if you're still here, you're definitely one of the OGs of the channel. I do have an announcement to make. I have to do something in real life and do some traveling. And I have to take my grandmother to Maine. I live in Florida. And so I've got to drive her up to Maine. It's something I definitely have to do. So I don't know how a stream's going to work because I don't know where I'm going to be. I don't know what kind of internet I'm going to have. It's not going to be for very long. It's going to be for about 5 days. And at the same time, it might be like 4 streams. It might be 5 streams, but it's going to be 4 or 5 streams. It's bottom of the bear market. Everything should be fine. I should be able to take 4 or 5 days and do what I need to do, even if I don't love it. I'm going to try to be much, much more active in the Discord during that time. But I don't know what kind of service I'm going to have where. Technically, it's a 24-hour drive, and me and my uncle are splitting the drive, so I think we're going to drive, like, straight through, right? But I'm not exactly sure how quick or not quick I'm going to be able to get internet and do a live stream. I'm going to try to take stuff with me. I also don't want to take everything with me. So we'll have to see how that works out. Of course, I'm always worried that I'm going to come back and everybody's going to be gone. I was thinking about it earlier. But you know what? Right now, feels like everybody's gone anyway. So there will be a time period. I'll be active in the Discord. You know I'm not giving up. I'm not going anywhere. If you love this show, don't worry. But there will be a little bit of a pause in the live streams. I might do a few more reels and stuff like that, right? All right, I don't know what I'm doing here at this point. I am way past 1,000. I'm just crashing out on them. All right, let's get out of this. You have to drive through communist territories. I wish you safety. We'll be all right. I've actually done the drive many times in my life. Don't stop in New York City. It's a yep. Yeah, I feel for you, CCP. You should move somewhere else. I know people always have a lot of reasons why they say they can't live somewhere else. And I wouldn't necessarily recommend coming to where I am in Florida unless you have, like, you know, a job that's remote or something like that, because it is expensive here. But not all of Florida is, and there's Georgia and North Carolina, and there's a lot of places in this country that are better than New York City, I tell you that. And I know a lot of people from New York City, and they all tell you, like, pretty much anywhere is better than being in New York City. So you might want to consider leaving. I know it could be hard. You might have family that is not going to move. Can your grandma stream while you drive? Probably not. And who knows, the highway probably not going to have good internet. Sorry to hear this. Is that true, CCP, or are you just messing around? Sorry about that. My other computer was dying, and I thought it was plugged into the charger. I guess it's not. Anyways, I actually know several people from New York who have converted. But that is, you know, that is their business. That's something for another time. It's not my cup of tea, I'll put it that way. But Cash Cat, I'm still just being dumb and waiting for a pump here to get out with more money. It might happen. It probably won't happen, but it might happen. My only hope here is that Pooch does really well, and Pooch has been doing really well, so that's optimistic here. Pooch went to 255K today, which it had been down. I mean, it was down to like 83,000. I don't even know when I got into this. I don't know what it was at. I think it was a lot lower. I think I got in at like I don't know, 50,000 or something. And I don't know where I got in, but I'm definitely up on it. And then let's see where Virtuals is. Or sorry, not Virtuals. Kindra on Virtual Protocol. And it's just getting whooped. I bought this thing so freaking cheap. I think I bought it cheap. I might be underwater now. I put like $5-6 in it. It says that it's worth like $12.50, so I must still be up on it. I must have bought like down here or something. I don't know. Or when did I buy this? I'm not sure. Am I on the daily chart? Let's go to a daily chart here, or an hour chart. That'll be sufficient, right? I always tell myself I should write all this stuff down. I never do. I wrote down a few things, but I certainly haven't written down everything. Where are we at here? Frog Dog getting whooped. I'm down $7 on Frog Dog. It looked like we were going to get the pump, and here I guess we kind of did. I have taken profits on it, so technically I'm still up, but I should probably just get rid of it. Think you are required to here. Yeah, that's kind of how that works. That's how you have control. Hopefully some of these things get some pump. Prime Minister, are we still bullish on short spined animals? Frog dogs and Jimothy raccoons and spine syndrome cats. Like, is that the rage still? Helen of Detroit, though. I know the movie isn't out yet or whatever. It's doing terribly. But I'm still holding. Anyways, guys, it is a Saturday night and it just hit midnight. Yeah, we'll all be praying for your health and safety, CCP. It's wild out there. You do what you got to do. Highly recommend leaving. I know people hear that and they're like, I can't do that. Highly recommend leaving. Trust me, it is the best thing you'll ever do. Just pick up and go. You won't regret it. Then again, I feel like some people got to stay and fight. I don't know how you're going to do that, but, you know, somebody's got to. Are they just allowing what's going on in New York to happen so that New Yorkers can finally have it so bad that they finally do something? New Yorkers are pretty tough people. Don't get me wrong. When the New Yorkers have finally had enough, like, it'll be over. But for whatever reason, it is taking them a long time to get to the point where they are fed up with it. I don't remember what I was trying to do. Let's go make some deliveries. Oh, yeah. Do they still have the festival thing going on? Let's go to the Festival of Color. This was a ton of fun the other day. I'm going to be really sad if they don't keep this around. They should just keep this forever because this is one of the coolest like mini games that they've done so far. Let's see. Every one of my neighbors voted against Mom Donnie, but I met people who love him and communism. Yeah, they're fools. You know, communism can be refuted in about 3 seconds. It's never worked anywhere. Just do your history. You don't have to argue with me about, you know, philosophics. It's never been successful of a government anywhere in the world ever. So I think that pretty much settles the case. But some people, most people, they don't know any history. So it doesn't work like that, unfortunately. Yeah, I need to leave. My family is here, but we need to leave. Yeah, highly recommend you leave. Native New York. Yeah, hate man. Of course they do. But 80% are new transplants. Yeah, you bring in, if you don't have support in an area, you bring support in. A big part of the mass migration was to bring support in for these things, right? Went to a rally. I think none of his supporters are from the U.S. Probably. I mean, yeah. That's how that works. They imported them. That was the idea. And it honestly was supposed to be much worse. It was supposed to be like that across the entire country. Well, that was the game plan. It still is the game plan. This is not a political show, but I'm also very much not afraid of saying what I think and feel. I'm not going to make it the center of the show every day. We are in the Underground Hangout segment of the night, if you don't know. Dang it, I'm about to walk right into him. All right, we are ready to level up. I still have pretty much not figured this out at all. I like the tomato. Let's give that a level up, and then let's level up everything. I don't know if you're ever allowed to get health. I feel like you have whatever health from the beginning of the round, and that's the only health you're allowed to have. Maybe Prime Minister could answer this for me. In a game, what do you call it where it's like the distance between touching something and not touching something? Because I get hit by these monsters and I'm not close to them, but I notice it's like that in like everywhere in the game. Like everywhere in the game, you think you're far enough away and you're not. Again, hit those, hit this. Oh, I only had 1 point. I guess I only had 1 point. That's not great. All right. Oof. There are sharks in the water, and they can go on the land too. Sharks can do whatever they want in this game, apparently. The annoying part is when you play these mini games, you're supposed to get like these points that you can use to buy things, and for whatever reason in this mini game they keep being like, you get none, you get no points. All right, we got some upgrading to do. Still got 2 points. Let's upgrade that beehive, because that beehive is actually super helpful. Taking so much damage. I don't know how you would not take damage, honestly. Doesn't really make sense to me. Keep upgrading everything. Speed would be nice. It's like you have to choose between speed, a health upgrade, which doesn't make any sense to me at all. There's gotta be a way to get health. That's the only thing I can think of. And I just don't understand it somehow. This potion looks like it should give you health, right? Wait, what happened? I had a point. I did not spend the point. Maybe I never had a point. Pretty sure I had a point there. Dang. And you get so surrounded, like there's no way to get through without getting hit. Yeah. Not understanding something here. Land sharks. Exactly. Land sharks are great. They're better than Corona, actually. I'm here for the safety hideout. There you go. Alright, I gotta get another round of that in. Where the heck is the health in that game? Collect the required XP orbs to get event tokens. I keep getting these like 100 color tokens and 0 marks. Or is that what it costs to play? I'm not understanding. Don't understand. The different backgrounds can affect like what you have. I don't need that. Wearable weapon guide. It's all in the weapons. I want to know where the health is. Homing bees. Yeah, that's the bees. This is really interesting. I guess if you have these different items, you can equip them and they'll help you. I have nothing. I basically have like a starter account. So I have nothing. Let's see, level 2, level 3. All right, I'm not getting anything out of this. I just don't know how you got to pick speed over health. Oh, I have no attempts. It costs 5 flour. Hold one of these auras in your inventory to unlock unlimited attempts for 150 flour. I don't know how much that is, but it's not that much money. Slime aura, butterfly aura, whisk aura, yada yada yada. Okay, apparently I got 1 play. So the shop, maybe? Maybe the shop sells the auras? What is this? It's a slime ball. Where do we get the auras from? What is that? Slime totem. Slime ball. Maybe you get the health here? Where do you get health from? So I can buy some things, actually. Treasure keys. I would love to buy some treasure keys. Where are the aura thing? Epic items, rainbow jellies. They just told you if you held whatever those auras were that you could have unlimited play. But I don't see them anywhere. I know this board was giving us the details, and I kind of half read it. Typical me. The shop uses a system similar to the Stella shop. Also remember to buy main tickets. You can have more chances to win flower. Your attempts in the portal carry over days, so no rush to spend them. Buy the unlimited attempts option to play at your leisure. Where is that? Where's the unlimited attempts option? Right, so I make sure unlimited attempt option to play at your leisure as much as possible. I just think it's weird because they're like, just buy the unlimited attempt option. Hold one of these auras in your inventory to unlock unlimited attempts. So they're 150 flower, which means you must have to buy them somewhere else. Oh, okay, so I could just click this down here, unlimited attempts. What is 200 flower? What is this on? This is on Polygon. Let's go check this out. I'm just curious here. Flower. This one. Don't get the wrong one. This game looks complicated. It's really not that complicated. But I'm actually really glad, CCP, that it looks complicated, because the number one thing people say about most crypto games is they're way too simple. You know? So we got to find a good mix. It's like way too simple or overly complicated. And why they can't give you any pricing about flower here is just beyond me. All right, so we got a base contract, right? Should be able to use base. I'm already hooked up with Robinhood, or with MetaMask. So let's see what we can figure out here. I'm gonna need to go to Uniswap so I can figure out the calculations of how much friggin' money it costs to get 200 flower. Select a token, put your contract address in. See how they have the little symbol? For anybody who doesn't know, right? So this flower is something totally different. These are the right ones, but you have a Polygon chain flower and you have a base chain flower. I think I'd rather use base chain. And let's switch from ETH to like a stable coin. This is where I do all my calculations. $1 gives you about 14 flower, and if I put in 200 flower, it says that'll cost me about 15 bucks. I mean, a real game occurrence economy, you know, it's got to have some price to it most of the time. So what I've learned here so far is that I cannot afford to play that game unlimited right now unless I want to drop 15 bucks in it. Normally I would be all for it, I'd do it, but I don't really know how long this festival is going to go along for. Is that like a permanent part of the game now? If it is, I'd drop 15 bucks. I play that thing all the time. That thing looks like a lot of fun. But if it's not, if it's just like for another 2 days, I'm not dropping $15 on that. All right, let's go over here and help out the Reliable J. Reliable J has all the cool stuff. He knows how to play this game. I have no idea what I'm doing because I have not spent the time. He like listens. Reliable J, I think, listens to like the AMAs and stuff like that. I see that he still only has 3 gold, like stones. Maybe you get a lot more, but he's got like cool fruit trees and like cool trees. I don't know how to do none of that. Looking at other people's farm is like how I'm trying to figure out how to play this game. It's got a giant house. Well done. His trees are different. I got to figure that part out. All right. So you like clean up other people's farms. And then you get, I don't know, garbage. Literally. Pile of dung. And then you can help them out. You get like a social point. Which I'm not a fan of social points in real life. But in a game, it's fine. But then you can take those little items that you got, the trash, and you can go sell them to the goblins. And get a little bit of money. And honestly, maybe I'm just doing it all wrong. But money in this game is relatively hard to come by. Like, you don't just get to a point where you just have, like, unlimited money and you can just buy everything. Like, you have to sometimes really choose between, like, do I want to chop down trees and get wood, or do I want to get fishing poles and go fishing, right? Like, you might not be able to do both. Again, my time is very limited. Being live with you guys very much is my time most of the time to do this stuff. That's why we have a whole DeFi Friday. Shocker, DeFi Friday is really for me, so that I can play DeFi games. I'm just kidding. But it is the time where I do get to, so just hit all the buttons. Don't worry about what they are. Don't worry about what they do. Just click them. That's what happens when I zone out playing stuff. I landed in the middle of nowhere. Whose fault is that? Then you go to the retreat. I think I'll get like maybe 70 gold coins for trash. That's good. I usually stack them up day after day, but honestly, I need those gold coins, or I'll be back to 0 coins in no time. So, oh wow, they have the event coins in here. So that could be worth 500, huh? Gotta decide what I want to do there. Also, we could go to like Sunflowerland Twitter. Definitely need to be following that. I am in their Discord, right? They're pretty good. If you ask them a question, their Discord is a bunch of people in there. Alright, could spend literally a long time on that. Get the free money and go. And there's all these other things to do. You can go into the build section. Let's see. I wanted to buy some trees. But I probably need to upgrade this. What does this say? Plot fertility. Okay, so this is how we get more stuff. I think that's the part of the sauce that I've been missing here. So we're definitely going to need more wood. Chopping devices, and we might as well get 10 pickaxes while we're at it. Get all the stone, upgrade our well so maybe we get more stuff and it grows faster. Because sometimes like you be trying to grow corn, it takes like 17 hours. I'm like, that is crazy. Even for a game it's like, you know, decentralized, it's a lot of time. Yo, what are these? No food selected. Okay, select food. Food. Oh, they want barley. They don't want hay. There we go. And I'm out of food already. I don't know how you're supposed to feed these chickens. They are too demanding. And they eat too much food. Definitely don't want to buy any more chickens. What is the goal of the game? To build up your farm and participate in all the different things. And then, of course, for me, I want to figure out how to get into the game economy, right? And generate money. There are items on here. Look at this. Crimson Spike Hair, worth $2,000. A 4-man beaver, $1,300. Like, there's money in here. Now, how you get these things, no idea. Still working on that. But I wasn't too focused on trying to figure all that out because right now I know I'm a low-level character. I know those are probably like the highest in-game items. But here, look. 11 hours ago, or wait, sorry, 2 days ago. 2 days, like, people buy this stuff. It's not constant. Like, they are. Oh, this person started following me. Let's follow them back. Yeah, there we go. But you'll see that people do purchase these. Obviously, these are not all the purchases that happen. These are just the really high purchases. Like somebody spent 2 days ago, 1,500 flour. It's worth a lot. Let's see. I'm not going to go calculate it, but yeah. 1,500 flour is worth about $1,000. It's a decent amount of money to be thrown around on in-game items, right? And obviously, there's items that are worth, 150, 20, I'm sure. I haven't really figured out the whole marketplace thing yet. I should really do that. In this game, every item is an NFT. I really should figure out the marketplace. Every time I try, though, it just confuses me. Let's see, wood. But that's the thing. Everything is priced in flour, and I don't have any flour. But look, whatever this thing is, Woody the Beaver, he's worth $50. How you get him, how you create him, I have no idea. But I'm sure what he does is he chops down all your wood. Sounds pretty useful, right? Here, this one, the Foreman Beaver, the one that you see going for like $1,000, gives you 20% more wood, faster tree recovery, and he chops down your trees without any axes, so you don't have to spend money on axes anymore, right? That helps. All these power up and resources. I've been sleeping on this market hard because my 1.7 flour is just what they gave me, and yeah, I haven't really used anything else. I haven't really gone looking. So let's see. We got flour. Make an offer. Accept. Where's a buyout? Why can I not buy anything? So this is probably where I'm sleeping here. I should probably be selling things on the market, right? Like, let's here. Let's go to wood. I can actually afford this, but list for sale. I have 11 in my inventory. Yeah, these people are selling like 100 wood, 300 wood. And you can see 2 seconds ago, 16 seconds ago, a minute ago, like this is bumping. People do this, and they generate money. I definitely have been sleeping on this, and I need to fix that. But also, if I give all my wood away, I'll never get anything done. I'll never grow my farm. So there's that too. Anyways, I'm going to go ahead and hop off. It's 2:30 now. I was going to get off at midnight, and now all of a sudden it is a half hour later. Next thing you know, it's 4 in the morning. What can you do? It just happens. Try explaining that to the wife. All right, everybody, you know what it is. Stay underground, stay crypto. Thank you for coming to the Saturday night stream. If you're still here, you're definitely OG status, MVP. Prime Ministers, anything going on in the trenches, hit me up. Other than that, Crypto Ron out.